Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Gino Morrow, the FAMP president, and I'm joined here today with Linda Knowlton, our VP. And Carl White is going to be giving us a presentation today to kind of help us through the pandemic, the way we've been doing our webinar series to help out and get information to all our members and try to get us through this. So I want to remind everyone today that we are going to be taking some questions at the end of the presentation. So feel free to type them into the chat box. We'll stop just shy of the end of the hour and take as many questions as we can. I also want to remind everyone that if you're on the webinar or you registered for it, you will be receiving a recording of the event. So that'll follow up a little bit later on today. And also you can look at and find us on our website in our library, including a lot of other material that we've been putting out on a weekly basis for everyone. If you missed the one we did with Roy Deloche last week, that was a fantastic event. Definitely go take a look at that. One reminder though, that most of that stuff is for members only. So if you're not a member, please join today, support FAMP. We're definitely trying to help, and there's a lot of great information on the website. And I want to thank Carl White for joining us today and doing this. And I'm going to let Linda introduce you, Carl, and then we'll get this show started. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Gino. Carl White is the founder, the chief strategist of the Mortgage Marketing Animals, and he's also the host of the #1 podcast for the loan officers in America. Carl first began in the loan industry, the mortgage industry business in October of 2000. And within 8 months of opening the doors, he became the top producing branch of approximately 336 branches nationwide. He also began to train fellow LOs in his paint by numbers approach. And that's a system I can follow, Carl. That's paint by numbers works for me. Carl helps loan officers to implement proven marketing strategies that he has personally used in his own career and has had great success with. So Carl, we thank you for continually supporting FAMP and always being there willing to step in and provide a webinar for our industry. So without further ado, take it away, Carl.
Well, I appreciate you guys, and it's an honor to be here. And I always like to remind people that if it wasn't for our professional associations, it's likely none of us would have made it through the 08, 09 meltdown, and that if it wasn't for you guys, we'd all be working for one of the big banks. Nothing wrong with the big banks, but it's just nice having the option to do other things, work in other platforms. And I tell everybody, I only do what I do because I don't have what it takes to do what you guys do. I'm forever grateful, and I mean that with absolutely all sincerity. So cool. All right, so I'll just kind of run into this, and feel free to again to ask questions along the way. I think we kind of said it in the little bio there that just for complete transparency, I am a branch manager. One of the top branch managers in the nation. And so what I'm showing you today isn't something that sounds like a good idea or I've heard that it works okay. This is actually what we're doing and having great results from it. And, as we're going through, as we're recording this today, it's April the 29th, that we're still in the lockdown mode. Looks like we might be working our way out of it. At some point, certainly. And I've noticed that like loan officers or anybody, like during a crisis, does one of three things. There's 10% that will fight and see, expand their market share, right? Expand their business. About 70% though will freeze, where they'll just like not do anything and just kind of, well, I'm just going to sit here and wait until it goes back the old way. And about 20% flee, where they just like step out of the way and get out of the business per se. And in fact, I've been seeing that 20%, falling by the wayside. And so I'm gonna encourage you, make sure you're part of the 10% that actually step to the plate and do things. And I have to admit myself that the first 2 days that we started going through this thing here about 6 weeks ago, man, it's hard to believe how time flies, but maybe even a couple months ago, that when it first started to happen, that I too found myself, huddled in the corner, sucking my thumb in a fetal position, but hoping that it's going to go back to the way that it was. And I've got some breaking news for you. I came to the conclusion it's likely not to go back to the way it was, and I think it's going to end up being a good thing. I really do. I think it's going to be better. So what we're going to talk about today is a little bit of old way shifting to the new way, and how it's working for us. And the platform of bringing in new business, by meeting people face to face. I don't think that'll ever be replaced completely, but I think what we're finding is that we can make it much, 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 much more efficient and get more done in less time. And what we're finding is that with these Zoom meetings, both with our client base and with our referral partners, we're actually, and this shocked me, we're actually having a higher conversion rate on the Zoom meetings than we did on the face-to-face, which I would have never believed that. But the Zoom meeting way of doing things is really working out for us, just particularly way better than I would have thought. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to have a discussion about change. We're going to talk about how we meet with clients, meeting with referral partners, and I'm going to walk you through using Zoom and kind of best practices on using it. And I also want to just be perfectly clear that going back to the old ways, right? Going back to the way things were, it's certainly it isn't possible, and frankly, it's likely not good enough either. And so we have to move forward to something special. So you guys are recording this and you're placed up on your site. I did not know that, just to be honest with you. And so I also have a place where we can retrieve the recording. And this is free for all the association members. If you go to LoanOfficerSurvivalKit.com, we put together, I've already pre-recorded this earlier. And again, this will be for the members only. And in addition to this class, we have classes on virtual coffee appointments, what to tell your real estate agents, using videos, how to market during a crisis, running Zoom. We had a top producer panel, and we're putting new classes in here. And I just want to be perfectly, again, transparent that on this is only going to be up for a period of time, because not only do I have a branch, but I do training as part of my business too, which I get paid for. But as our way of saying thanks to the association, you'll have full access to this probably for about a month, maybe two, something like that, and then we're going to turn it off. But it's just excellent resource for you. And when you join this thing, just let us know that you're an association member, and you'll have free access for it. So no credit cards, no payment information. All right, so let's talk about Zoom for a little bit. So I probably should have talked about the results first, but again, the results are just stunning. We're getting some really good results, and I'm going to show you some scripts on how we get referral partners to join us on the Zoom meetings and what do we talk about. But let's do a little bit of button pushing here, and I'm going to walk you through, in case you haven't had one before. I'm going to walk you through how to get an account and some of the nuts and bolts about how do you turn it on and how do you set up the cameras and stuff. We're going to talk about the lighting and the microphones and whatnot. And so let's just do a little bit of button pushing here to begin with. So Zoom is free. Now there's paid accounts and there's free accounts. The free accounts, you're good up to 40 minutes. Now in the paid accounts, well, you could have it for, I guess, 2-3 days if you wanted to. You could run it all day. But for most of you, the free account is going to work you just fine. And I find that most of our Zoom meetings don't run 40 minutes, like when we're meeting with referral partners or with our clients. We're finding typically like 20-30 minutes on the outside. And if you do end up doing a paid version of the Zoom, I'll be honest with you, I've got the Mac Daddy, so we can host 1,000 on a webinar or 500 on the meetings. I don't remember what we pay, but it's like nothing. So I'm sure like to set up, the standard, I think is about I think it's like 50 on the meetings and like 100 on the webinar. For the 99.9%, that'll be just fine. I don't know. I think that runs like $50 or $75 a month. But there is a free version, and I would definitely try the free first and see if it works. And then if you outgrow that, awesome, you got more closings going on, then you can start feeding the machine if you need to. So you just simply go to zoom.us, right? Zoom.us, which I think you can see my mouth here, zoom.us, and it should take you to something like this, and you sign up. It's free. So you just click that button, and it'll ask you for a little information, no billing information, just email address and a new password. And man, that's pretty much it. I mean, they've made this thing really, really, really easy. So once you do that, this is like once you sign in, this is kind of what it looks like. And so this is actually a screenshot of mine. And you have meetings here. So the difference between a webinar and a meeting, like right now, as we're doing this today, we're actually on the GoToWebinar service, but they're virtually the same. And on a webinar, it's more of what we're doing here today. It's like 1 or 2 or 3 broadcasting to many, whereas the meetings is like everybody's cameras on, everybody's mics on, for most of you, that's going to be the platform that you're going to want to go on, because you want a bit more of an interaction. Now today, this is the perfect platform doing a webinar because we're doing more of an instructional thing. But when you're using this for your referral partners and for your clients, I'd strongly recommend not doing a webinar, but doing a meeting, and you get both on your account. And so you just hit meetings and then schedule a new meeting. And when you do that, it looks something like this, right? And you just name a topic. And so I just did this just real quick, learning how to do Zoom together. And then a description. And this description will make better sense here in just a few minutes. This is the actual like descriptions that we're using. That a few of us are getting together to practice using Zoom for listing presentations or strategizing with our clients. And so this is the actual description that we're giving to our real estate agents when we're sending these things out. It'll ask you to select a template if you would like. We'll go into more about that later if we have time, but you don't need to do that. It'll ask when, and so I just did a screenshot, 4/23, or whatever you want to do it, what time you're doing it, the duration, and what time zone you're doing it from. And then recurring meeting, like I do a Zoom meeting with my mortgage team every morning and every afternoon for 15 minutes. And so for setting up those, I hit that it's a recurring meeting because we're doing it every week. But for most of you, if you're meeting with your with clients or you're meeting with referral partners on this will be kind of a one-off thing. And by the way, when you record, there'd be under recordings and settings, and we'll look at a couple things like that. But this is in essence is what you would do. And I would recommend using this exact description showing the strategy that I'm going to be showing you here in a few minutes. All right. And then this is just like when you're setting up the webinar, like this is the top of the page or the meeting, this is the top of the page, and you fill this out and then you scroll down. And here's a couple other things. There's that recurring meeting again, right? Same thing. Registration. I recommend that you make registration required. What that means is when these real estate agents are coming to your Zoom meeting, they have to put in an email address and their name and a cell phone number, and so you require that registration so that you have their information. Because I'm going to tell you right now, the money's on the follow-up, right? The money's not at the meeting itself. The money's on the follow-up. We're going to talk about that. And so I recommend clicking here on required registration. Meeting ID, it just means it's going to give you a number or a meeting ID number that you're going to send to your referral partners, and we're going to show you how to do that. A meeting password, I do not require password. Video, I have it so that when we first start the Zoom meeting, my camera is turned off, but everybody else's is on. Now, the reason I do that is I want them to have their camera on so they can interact with me and interact with each other. The reason I have mine off at first, as soon as I start it, I don't want to have a stupid look on my face, or I'm sitting down at my table and, maybe I'm wiping my lips off or something, getting ready, make sure my lipstick is on or whatever. I want to be prepared when my camera's turned on. So I leave my camera turned off until I'm sitting in my chair and I'm ready to go, and I make a conscious effort, turn on my camera, and that way I'm not surprised and sit here and scratching myself or, you know, doing something that might not be flattering. So I have my camera off and turn it on, but I have everybody else's so it's on as soon as they join. On the audio, they can either call in by phone or come in by computer audio. We give them both options, of course. I mean, that's just the only right thing to do. The other thing is when everybody joins, I have them automatically muted. Now they can go unmute themselves and talk, but I want them to be automatically muted so that, like, the dog barking in the background or a phone ringing or people talking, you don't want everybody unmuted coming into the room. You want them to have to be able to go click on the button, unmute me. That way they're prepared for it, they're ready for it, and they don't have a bunch of noise going in the background. And I also, you might consider enabling a waiting room. I'm kind of on the fence on this one. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. What a waiting room is, as soon as the meeting starts, even if you're registered, you're sent into a waiting room, and then I'm notified, hey, you got 5 people in the waiting room, and then I'll click, yes, I invited that one, yes, I invited that one, yes, they're okay, yes, they're okay, gee, I don't know who this person is, let's not let them in. So I've never had somebody on there that I didn't know was supposed to be on there, and I've literally had tens of thousands of people on my Zoom meetings. But the waiting room is something that you might consider, but it's an extra step. A little doorbell chime goes on to let you know that somebody's there, but you might just have it so they can just come on in so you're not distracted. And then I do record most of my meetings, and it's recorded automatically in the cloud, so it doesn't take up storage on my computer, and then we can send the link out, we can share it. I think that's everything on that one. And then on the times, you can add it to your Google Calendar. You can add it to your Outlook calendar or your Yahoo calendar. And so when you're ready to start the meeting, you just go to your meetings right up here. And we previously set this thing up, and then we just click start this meeting, which is exactly what they did to start the meeting that you're on. Again, we're on the GoToWebinar format, but it's virtually the same. All right. And then again, I just showing this again. This is the different meetings that I have, not webinars, but meetings. And I just click the start, and it takes off. All right. So when I'm in the Zoom meeting, this is what I see. So I took a little screenshot, and this is a little dashboard that's at the bottom of my Zoom. And I'll just run you through a couple of things. The best thing is just get on here and just play with it a little bit. Like, just start doing it. And so here, you can mute yourself, and here is where I told you when I start mine, I'm not showing my video because I want to make sure that I'm ready. So then I click on the little start video here at the bottom, and that starts my video. Or if I have more than one camera, I don't know why you would have that, but if you have more than one camera, you can click on this little up arrow here, and it opens up the camera. Same thing here, by the way, if you have more than one microphone. Like if you're using a different microphone than the built-in mic, you would just click this little up arrow, and you'd have the choice of whatever mic. And I am going to recommend that you might consider looking at a different mic, and I've got what mics I recommend here coming up here, and I'll show you. If I want to invite somebody that's not here yet, I click this little button. It gives me an invitation link, and then I can text that out to them real quick. Manage participants. I'll show you what that does. I got a screenshot here in just a second. You can do polling if you want. For most of you're probably not going to do that. Polling is more like I did a GoToMeeting yesterday, not a GoToMeeting. I did a Zoom meeting yesterday, and I think we had like 300 people on it, something like that. So with a larger list like that, I might do polling and ask them a poll question. If I've just got like 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, which is going to be most of the time, doing a polling wouldn't make sense, right? I'd just say, so Linda, are you doing it this way or that way? Are you spending most of your time with listings or buyers right now? And so I wouldn't do a poll with a smaller group, right? It's unnecessary. I click share when I'm ready to share my screen. Just a quick note on that. Make sure that, and I recommend that you have these things turned off always anyway. but make sure you turned off any automatic notifiers of like an email or a Facebook message or a Skype message or anything like that. I recommend always leaving those things off, but particularly when you're having your Zoom meeting. I'll never forget. Oh man, I'll never forget when I first started doing GoToWebinar, and before I learned that I get much more done if I've got my email notifier done, and I structure my day that I check my email at set points in the day. I was doing a webinar and I had a good amount of people on it, and I had this spam email coming in of something that was totally inappropriate, and I see this little thing with this horrible subject line from a spam email came in, and it was promoting something that I wouldn't. It was not good. Trust me, just the headline was just awful, and here this thing is floating on my screen for like about 5 seconds before it goes away, and it was just, I went, all right, well that won't happen again, and I'm gonna get a spam filter. So I did both of those things. So but anyway, so share your screen, make sure that all your automatic notifiers are down, make sure that anything that you're working on, I don't mean, weird stuff, but if you're working on something and you don't want the world to see it, you got a new ad coming out, or maybe you're, looking at pictures of your kids or something like that, just make sure you shut all that stuff out before you share your screen. Chat, that's just where people can ask messages, but again, most of you won't be using that because you're going to be just talking in open mic and have people talking back and forth. Here's where we click to start the recording. I'll show you if we're going to do a neat thing that Zoom lets you do that actually GoToMeeting, to my understanding, unless they changed it, doesn't let you do, is Zoom will let you, at the same time I'm running the Zoom meeting, I can also be broadcasting that meeting on Facebook via Facebook Live. And that's where we click on this button right here. And when I click on that, it'll ask me what page do you want it to go live on. And as long as I'm an administrator of that page, whether it's my business page, or one of my business page, or one of my groups, one of my Facebook group pages, or on my personal profile, right, my personal page, we can stream it on all those, and that'll be under this little button number 7 right here. And then when we're finished with the meeting, we just hit end meeting, right, and that finishes it there. So did I, Linda, walk through the buttons okay? Was that clear enough? Anything you think I left out there? That would be a no. So, all right, cool.
No, that was very clear.
Okay, cool. All right. So, and when we click on, and we'll get to the good stuff here in a minute, but I think this is just real important because, look, I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to be a very important thing for you to do. The results that you get from this, the new loans you'll get from this will be just outstanding if you follow it. And so when I put these presentations together, I think, what would keep somebody from doing this, right? Because everybody knows it works. What would keep people from doing it? Well, I don't know how. So I just want to eliminate that. So the I don't know how is not going to prevent you from doing that. So that's why we're going through the buttons. So, all right. So on the where's it here? Manage participants. When you click on that, now when I did this screen share here, or the screenshot, I was only one on, but it'll look just like this with all of your participants on here, and they have a little mic and a camera. And if I click, I can't turn on your camera for you, but when I click the little camera button, like with like it's your name, and I click on the camera, it'll tell you, hey, Carl's asking you to turn on your camera. I'll click that just one time. Again, I have it so that the camera automatically turns on, but in case you forget to do that, I'll click that one time. And if they, but I'll only do it once because not everybody wants to show their camera, and that's okay. I always show mine because I'm looking to connect with them, but they may or may not turn theirs on. I find that probably about, I don't know, 80% of the time they'll turn their camera on. So I'll click once to remind them, but then if they don't want to turn it on, I don't want to get weird on somebody. And same thing with a microphone. If I hear a dog barking in the background, it'll show me, like, let's say I got 6 people on, it'll put a little yellow box around whoever's talking. Like right now, if I'm talking, it would show a yellow box around my name. And so I know if a dog's barking, I can tell whose dog is barking. I could go in there and I can click their microphone and I can mute or unmute their microphone. So that's what that little box there is. And again, I think I showed you on these little buttons here on the bottom when I clicked on the more live on Facebook, and that's worked for us really well. Here's one. This is what it looks like when you get a bunch of people on. And then here's the one I did yesterday. We had 310 people on, and this is kind of what it looks like. And you can see not everybody has their camera on. Like those that don't have their camera on, see, it has a little line through it. That means they got their camera turned off. And then you can see when they came in, especially with 300 people on, you know, I mute all the microphones, but they can unmute themselves anytime they have a question. So that's kind of what it looks like. And then when you push it live on Facebook, by clicking this little more thing here, and this live on Facebook shows up, when you do that, then it lets you know, hey, you're live on Facebook, and this is what it looks like. I just did a screenshot yesterday while we were doing, so that's during this one that we were doing. I took a screenshot, and it's broadcasting live on Facebook. Now, when it's broadcasting live on Facebook, I don't know who's, they can't talk. We can't see their camera. Frankly, I'd rather they be on Zoom, but if I didn't know to invite that person on Zoom, additional people will see it on Facebook, and you're introducing them to your crowd. And, just during it, you might want to tell them to comment or ask a question. So then now you know who was there, you can follow up with them. Cause it doesn't tell you, like when you're broadcasting it live, a little thing will come up to tell you who's watching it. But then at the end, there's not a list of these are the people that's watching it. So you wouldn't know who to follow up on. So I try to get them to, to leave a comment or can you hear me okay? Type in yes, or ask a yes, no question. Hey, if you're watching this on Facebook, just let me know yes, no, so I know which direction to go here. And once they comment, now you can follow up with those people. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the equipment that you'll need. First of all, how do I say this? Don't spend all your time putting together the equipment. The only equipment you need is your laptop, the camera that comes in the laptop, the microphone that comes in the laptop, and the free Zoom software. That's it. Like, you don't need anything. It's totally okay. But I'm going to show you like some added things you can do it after you get started. Because I got this saying that I believe so big in: don't get so busy building the farm that you forget to milk the cow. Don't get so busy building the farm that you forget to milk the cow. So make sure that you're actually doing the strategy and not just getting ready to do the strategy. I'm just real big on that. So this is a microphone, and I've got one here. Let me see if I can see my own camera. This is actually the microphone that I use. Now today, I'm actually, coming to you via my cell phone on my little AirPods, only because I'm operating on a brand new computer. And when we were doing the sound check before, I couldn't hear. And so I called in via phone, but 99 times out of 100, in fact, probably 100 times out of 100, this is the actual microphone I'm using. And it's called a Yeti Blue. And this is what it looks like. The Yeti Blue, Y-E-T-I, I think it is, Y-E-T-I Blue. And it's just right here it is, Blue Yeti. Outstanding little microphone. I'm telling you, it'll make you sound like you're in an FM studio. The reason why I'm not crazy about the internal microphone on the laptop depends on what kind of room you're in. I'm in a somewhat of an empty room. This is my little communications room here at the Mortgage Marketing Animals headquarters. And it's a bit of a hollow room. I've got wood floors. I don't have, there's no carpet. I got a little bit high of a ceiling, so it's a little bit of a hollow room. And if I was coming in on the laptop, it would have somewhat of an echo. And so with these Yeti mics, like when I'm talking into it, I'll have it sitting just off screen, but I'm a couple inches from it. and it's got a little gain control back here, so you can adjust, how loud it's picking you up. And it's also got a little directional thing back here that if it's just me in the room, I might have it so just the front of the mic is picking me up. And then if I'm here with a guest, it'll turn on the front and the back, but leave the sides turned off. If I've got 4 people on, I could put another button here, and it'll turn the entire microphone on. So it's just a really impressive sounding little mic. And just by the way, a friend of mine shot this snapshot of me. This is actually in Canadian dollars. My friend Chris Johnson took the snapshot. And so US dollars, I think they run like about $130, something like that, $120. They come in different colors. They're exactly the same. Just get whichever one is the cheapest. So it's a outstanding little microphone. Lighting is kind of a big deal too. I actually don't have any lighting on me right now because in the room I'm in, there's 2 windows that's facing me right here. I'm here in the Tampa Bay, and it's a beautiful day outside, so I've got a lot of outside light coming in. But these little ring lights are just absolutely outstanding. These are really nice little little things, and it gives very natural looking light. It doesn't take up the big room of those old square box lights, and these do run about $145. Now, do you need to go get this? No, you don't. And it's likely that the lighting that you have is perfectly great. But sometimes if I'm doing one of these in the evening, which is almost virtually never, and I don't have my natural light, well, certainly I would need some light. And so these little ring lights. But these ring lights are just outstanding. They're really, really good. And for this price, you get the stand and everything. And I'll be sure to send over this this PowerPoint so that you guys can have these links. So I'll send it over to the association. They can send it out to the members. All right. There's also a small desktop version of these little ring lights. This works pretty good too, but boy, it's got to be like right close to you, like sitting right above your little laptop. On this particular example, like it's designed to put your cell phone on. Like if you're doing a Zoom meeting with a cell phone, you can use these little things. In my case, I set the little tripod here on a couple books when I'm over in the office, and then I have this light peeking over my laptop, and I don't even have a cell phone. I personally don't conduct my Zoom meetings from my cell phone. I like the idea of doing it on my laptop. I have all my controls sitting there right in front of me. You can do it completely 100% from your cell phone. There's a few more little buttons and menus that you have to go through, and I like having that toolbar at the bottom. So until you get the hang of it, I'd probably do it on a laptop. But again, do not wait to get any of this equipment before you do your first ones. Just get out there and go doing it. All right, I'm looking at the time here. All right, the other thing that I have, and I do like this thing, is this little stand that I've got my laptop sitting in right now. If you don't have this stand and your laptop is sitting directly on your desk, let me bring my camera up. What ends up happening is you're looking down upon your camera, and it would likely look something like, I don't know, I'm going to lose my state, but it gives a very unflattering look. Whoops. It gives a very unflattering look, like you're looking down on the camera. So I'd recommend that having one of these little stands is a very good thing to do, because it sets the laptop up at a good distance. You want the camera to be eye level, so you're looking equal to them. You don't want to be looking up. You don't want to be looking down. That's condescending and unflattering. And so you want it to be eye level. And this thing is great. It's like $40. It folds up into this really small little thing that goes in my travel bag. So like if I'm doing one of these and I'm at a hotel room traveling or something, you could easily pack this thing with you. It's got little adjustments where you can raise it up and down. This thing is just outstanding, and I strongly recommend it. Again, until I got this stand, I just set my laptop up on some books, up on a box or something to give me the appropriate level. So again, don't think, well, gosh, as soon as I get all this cool stuff, then I'll start doing this. Don't make that mistake. I've done that in the past. That's a huge mistake. So that's pretty much all the equipment. Zoom meeting with clients, and again, this would go with referral partner too. Show up early, right? Show up early. Like I logged on to this meeting for you guys. I logged on like probably about 5 minutes early. The gang was already here because they were on early too. It gives us a chance to do our sound check, make sure everything's working okay, make sure my camera's set up good, make sure my microphone's working good. So show up early. Make sure that you have good audio. In other words, if you're in a big, hollow, empty room and you don't have an extra microphone, it's okay. Go find a room that's not big and hollow. And you know, can I do these in my kitchen with the kitchen box? To me, I think making yourself like I'm a real person just like you is a real powerful thing to do. So I probably wouldn't do this in my bedroom with the bed showing behind me, but like in the kitchen or at the breakfast bar, or I do a fair amount of mine out on I've got a lake here on my property. And so I sit on the front porch with the lake behind me or the woods behind me or whatever, you know, your flower pot behind you with the fence, whatever your backyard looks like. You know, be in a place that doesn't have a big echo though, because people will forgive you on your video. The audio's got to be pretty dead on. Always use your webcam. Make sure you got decent lighting. Again, natural lighting is totally okay. And if you're going to be sharing ideas or maybe something on your website, or if you're talking to a client, you're showing them how they're going to do the application or something like that, have those links up and ready. You don't want to be searching here. Let me find it. Let me find this. Have everything up and ready. Have it, you know, in the background so that you can switch over to it at any time. Meetings with referral partners. I'm going to tell you right now, this has been an absolute home run for us. And so we're pre-setting appointments. We're calling these agents, and I'm going to show you the text that we're sending out to make that happen. And we're having virtual coffee appointments with them. We are getting more referrals from agents that we haven't worked with in the past before using these virtual coffee appointments than the face-to-face where we're always working great for me for the last umpteen years. Like I've closed literally, like I've gotten paid on literally well over 10,000 loans in my career. And the good old coffee appointment's always been a big, huge driving force upon it that you know, has me closing just record numbers of loans. I'm telling you, these Zoom meeting coffee appointments are working at least as well, if not better. We don't have to travel anyway. There's no downtime. I love them. The other thing I like about them, I'm a little bit of a, how do I say that? I'm a little bit of a extroverted introvert. So my own personality is I'm a very introverted person. And what I like about the virtual coffee appointments is if I meet somebody in person and I get a feeling that it's not going so well, like I think, man, I'm not sure if I'm going to enjoy working with this person. I don't think, do they like me? I think, do I like them? I go, I'm not sure if I care for this person that much. It doesn't happen often, but it happens sometimes. But I feel like since we met there, we need to hang out now for a little bit, and I don't want to. I want to get out of there. Whereas on, and maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but on the virtual coffee appointments, if it's not going so well, and I don't feel like, man, I don't know if I'm going to want to work with this person after all. After about 10 minutes or so, I say, well, man, it was nice meeting with you. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, and I appreciate you joining me. And it was great to kind of learning a little bit about you. And you know, I know you're busy, so I'll let you get back to it. See you at the title company Sunday soon, right? Just a nice, cordial, I'm out of here. And so, that maybe that's just my own personal character defect that I have of you know, being a bit of an introvert. But I do find that I can have more of them. They take way less energy, and they're converting to referrals even better. We're going to show you how to do that. But I'm going to tell you right now that you have to be prepared for the follow-up process for continued conversations. Let me say that again. You have got to be prepared for the follow-up process for continued conversations. The money's made on the follow-up on these guys. I'm going to tell you right now, if there's no follow-up, there's no business, right? So you got to do the follow-up. We're going to walk you through that. All right. So this is the text that we're sending out. So we're sending this text out to real estate agents. And some of them we've worked with in the past, and frankly, most of them we have not, that we're reaching out to on this. Maybe they were the listing agent. Like who would I text this to? Again, run everything through your own compliance department, you know, to make sure everything you do is compliant. But what I did was we got a list of all the listing agents that we worked with in the last 2 years that we haven't worked with lately. And we sent this text out to those people. And the sign-up rate has been unbelievable. And so the text is nothing more, hey, Bob, trying to help as many agents as I can to learn virtual meetings with Zoom. Wanted to see if you're open to a call Friday to go through it and practice with you, share a couple ideas. I have been using to communicate at a really high level with those that know, like, and trust you, and eventually those that don't. Are you available? And what we're doing is we started doing these as a one-on-one. But what we found out was that when we do like 2, 3, 4, or even 5-on-1, that we have 2, 3, 4, 5 agents show up on the Zoom meeting on how to use Zoom. It was a very powerful dynamic that they would see other people there, and that gives social proof that you're an important person. And I'd say, well, like we'd show a little bit about how to use Zoom. And then I'd say, well, Realtor Bob, so man, what's working for you right now? And Realtor Bob comes up with a great idea. And I go, man, that's a great idea. I'll be sure to share that with some of my other agents. And Realtor Lisa shares some good ideas. And Realtor Jeannie asked a great question that Realtor Sam answered for her. And so it just sets up a really cool dynamic. And so we actually prefer the 2, 3, 4, 5-on-1 better than the one-on-one. But the one-on-ones were working great too. But boy, if you can get even more results having a couple more on there, it's a great thing. And if you go, wait a minute, Carl, I saw your presentation here, but man, I need to make sure I'm an expert at Zoom before I do this. Do not make that mistake, right? It's okay. It's kind of like the flow this can kind of have would be, hey, Realtor Bob, I'm wanting to try Zoom. I'm brand new to it and learning how to figure it out, and figure it'd work out a lot better if I was practice somebody. Would you like to practice with me and we can learn it together? Totally cool, right? And then you get on there and you just start, well, let's start clicking on the buttons and see what it does, right? So you don't have to know everything about this. It's totally cool. And I'd probably play on the Zoom a little bit and, tell them how they sound and how you sound and seeing the screen and all right, Realtor Jill, you share your screen now, right? Just kind of play around a little bit. And then you start asking them questions about their business, right? You start the old-fashioned frog, family, recreation, occupation, goals. Just have a conversation with them. Ask questions, shut up and listen. Don't talk about your mortgage program for sure. Don't talk about what you can do, right? There's another time for that. That's the follow-up. But on the initial call, it's a call. I call it a COC, a call of coolness, right? Where you're just kind of sharing ideas back and forth. So you don't have to wait till you're an expert to do this stuff, right? So we send this out on text 1. We send out on text 2. Hey, Bob, this is the day before. Excited to learn Zoom together. We're meeting at 1 o'clock on Friday. You still in? Let's grab a coffee, pop, or whatever, and have a Zoom happy hour. Here's a Zoom meeting link. And then insert in the link that we got from Zoom. And then the last one, hey, we're starting in 30 minutes. Hope you can make it. Friendly reminder, going to learn Zoom together to help you have more face-to-face virtual meetings with those that you know, like, and trust, and some that you don't. Go to insert in Zoom, and you just text that to them. We're having a very, very high turn-up rate to this. And this thing is working really, really, really well. And again, so what do you talk about during the Zoom meetings? Figure out how to use Zoom together. And so you do that. That might take the whole meeting. If you got some time left over, like, just frog them. Ask them family, recreation, occupation, goals. I probably wouldn't go in this order. Like, I wouldn't ask them about their family right off the bat. I'd probably start with occupation. And just ask them about their real estate. How'd you get started? What's your favorite part? What works for you? What's your favorite strategy for getting listings? What's your favorite strategy for getting buyers? Just ask them questions, shut up and listen. Because everybody's favorite subject, we all know this, everybody's favorite subject is themselves. Let them talk about themselves, right? Very, very, very powerful. But understand that without this, nothing happens. You have got to follow up with these people. You have absolutely 100% got to follow up. So what we're doing is the minute that Zoom meeting is over, like if it's a one-on-one, we'll give the call to action right then. I'll show you that here in just a second. If I've got 2, 3, 4, 5 agents on the Zoom meeting, we're practicing back and forth. I finish the Zoom meeting, and then as soon as it's done, I have the next 30 minutes blocked out. I call them up. And I ask for the business. I think I got some screenshots here of some of the scripts that we use. And yeah, it's right here. So if you have multiple prospects again, referral partners on a Zoom meeting, immediately after, pick up the phone, call them, they'll answer, I promise you, right? They'll answer it. and you call them up one at a time. Hey, Realtor Bob, man, it was great meeting you on Zoom, and it's easy to see why you have so much great stuff going on. I'd really enjoy working with you. Hey, Bob, can I count on you to give me a call with your next buyer lead so we can work together on your next deal? And before you answer that, man, there's 3 things you can count on me for. I'll close you on time. I'll give you great communication during the loan process, and I'll follow up on your leads like green on a pickle so that you get even more leads from those people going forward. Bob, can I count on you for that next buyer lead? Ask the question, right? Don't water this down. Don't hesitate on this part. Like, print this thing out when you get it from the association and read, this is your script. This is exactly what you say. And you might say, well, Carl, it feels weird saying that. It's going to feel weird, but it doesn't sound weird. That's just like if right now it's to say, hey, I hope you're enjoying this training. Man, next time you see me doing something, can I count on you, perhaps share that link for the association? Twofold. Number one, the association makes a couple dollars, what they desperately need, so they can help us be loan officers. And number two, they're going to get some great knowledge and information. Can I count on you to share that link with other loan officers, right? That my suspicion is that doesn't sound weird at all to you, but it feels weird as crap me saying it, right? So just stick with the scripts. Without the phone call, there's no need to do anything. So you've got to do these follow-up phone calls. And if this is a one-on-one coffee meeting, right, a Zoom meeting, then because this one is the phone call after the Zoom meeting. If I'm doing a one-on-one, it's just me and you on a virtual coffee meeting. Instead of calling you up with that call to action, it's the exact same call to action, but I do it during the Zoom meeting. Hey, Bob, hey, thanks so much for having this Zoom, at the end. Bob, thanks so much. It was great meeting you here on this Zoom today. Same call to action. 3 things you can count on me. There's 3 things you can count on me for: close on time, great communication, follow up on your leads like green on a pickle. Can I count on you for the next buyer lead, Bob? I'd really like to work with you. Same script, right? Same script. Do not water this down. I'll tell you right now, whoever on this call has this conversation the most times, this call to action, whoever reads this script to prospective referral partners the most will get the most new business, guaranteed. I don't care who you are. I don't care how long you've been doing it. I don't care how well you speak. I don't care how awkward you feel. I don't care how handsome or how pretty or how lack thereof you are. Whoever reads this the most is going to close the most loans. And then what we do is we follow up with these people every Monday morning. Every Monday morning after these meetings, we follow up with them, what we call the Thor's Hammer script. And the basic script is, hey, Realtor Bob, man, it was great meeting with Zoom last week. And man, I was just checking in. Hey, did you work or did you play this weekend? Right? And they say they worked. Great. Who'd you work with? I can help you with. Hey, did you work or did you play? They say, I played. Awesome. What'd you guys do? And they say, well, hey, here's what I did. And then I say, well, Bob, man, hey, great you had a chance to recharge your batteries. I know you're busy. I'll let you get to it. Can I count on you to send me the next buyer lead? 3 things you can count on me, right? Same 3 things. Follow up on your leads, great communication during the loan process, close on time. Can I count on you for that next buyer lead, Bob? I'd really like to work with you. That's it. If you're not going to make the Monday morning phone calls, don't do the Zoom meetings. You've got to do these calls. That's what makes the secret sauce of this. So in closing here, use the hunger, channel what fear you might have. Like I got some fear going through this stuff, right? I got some fear for sure. Are we going to be okay? And we're going to still be able to close loans. We got this forbearance stuff and some of the overlays. But use that fear, use that hunger, channel your fear, get off your butt and do something. And again, the free membership, happy to turn you guys on to for a period of time. And this is not a trial or anything, but there's no payment info. You guys are welcome to this. And again, this will be free for the members of the association. And I think that's about it. So did I miss anything? Any questions about something that I didn't cover that you'd like me to cover?
We actually have a few questions, Carl. Gina, you want to start?
I was just going to say that's absolutely great. You're always full of information. I really thank you for supporting FAMP the way you do and always being there when we ask you to do something. And we do have a few questions. I'm going to Linda start with the first one.
Okay. First, Tony Moore says, hi, Carl, just as a start.
Tony.
Yeah. Tony, yeah, hang on one second. All right, and there's a question. I am new to Zoom. I scheduled a meeting on my phone, but the meeting did show up when I logged into my desktop.
Did or did not?
So I guess it says did show up when I logged into my desk. Maybe the question was did not show up when I logged into my. I'm new to Zoom. I scheduled a meeting on my phone, but the meeting did show up when I logged into my desktop. So maybe just go when you schedule a meeting.
As it should. Yeah,
Okay.
as it should. So awesome. So it worked perfect. So yeah, it's I tell you, it's pretty darn intuitive. So I'm about as ungeeky as anybody you'll ever meet. And it's pretty darn hard to mess it up. And if anybody can mess it up, I would be that person. And here I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here so we can expand the cameras here. I think did that expand my camera?
Oh, no, not really.
Nope. Okay.
But I have another
question
for you.
All right, let's go.
Okay, is Facebook Live only with a paid account, or is it free to everyone?
Free. You know what? That's a great question. But let me tell you something on that. So I can appreciate being frugal, right? So there's wisdom in being frugal. But I'm going to tell you, this is working so well that I think the entry level paid account to Zoom, I think runs like $50 a month or something like that. If you actually use it, it's likely to be the best $50, the most profitable $50. I cannot think of a better $50 I would spend than on these Zoom meetings, as long as you actually do the meetings, as long as you actually invite agents to join you on the meetings, and as long as you actually follow up using these scripts that I shared with you today. As long as you actually do this stuff, it'll man, if it costs $50, it would be well worth it. I will tell you though, it's not like, if you're just getting started with this stuff, probably most of you are not going to be doing the Facebook Live, because you're going to be talking to like one or two people. Here's what I would do. I would do my first 3 without Facebook Live. Why would I do that? Because I want you to do it today. I want you to start setting it up right away. I want you to start taking action on this stuff right now. Right? It's all about taking action. And so I want you to do your first 3 without Facebook Live. And then once you do your third one and you're going, all right, man, I'm actually doing it, I'm taking action, then start adding on the extra little add-ons. Does that make sense?
All right. That made perfect sense to me. So I have another question. It says, hi, the webinar is helpful. Tons of good info. Now a text question to a potential realtor partner. Can I text if I have their cell, since they are in a related business, without some formal opt-in?
Okay, I am horribly unqualified to answer any compliance questions, so I'm going to refer you to contact whoever your compliance officer is to ask that question.
All right, next one coming up here is they're asking about security on Zoom. Can you mention anything about the security on Zoom?
I can't. Again, I'll refer you to Zoom to talk about that. I know. So the issue that Zoom had, and again, this is just my understanding. So my understanding, the issue people had on Zoom was that people that you didn't know were showing up on your Zoom meeting and then doing armpit farts. So it's not like, to my understanding, it's not like they were coming in and crashing your computer and stealing all your information that's on your Calyx or Point or Encompass accounts. It's just that you'd have some stranger show up and he'd take his shirt off and whatever, and just being a jerk, right? When you set up, number one, to my understanding, they put additional security to keep that from happening. Number two, if you have them so they have to register for it, to my understanding, that helps stop it. And number three, if you have a waiting room, to my understanding, 100% that stops it. But let me tell you something. There's like, I can give you 10,000 reasons not to do something, right? Think of why, what can I do to make this work? What can I take? And look, there's risk. If I drive to Starbucks, there's a risk I'm going to get in a car accident on the way there, right? I mean, so there is nothing risk-free that I know of. If I lay in bed, there's a chance an asteroid will fall out of the sky and hit my bed. And so just make sure that, just do the best you can to protect yourself against things. And if somebody was to show up on your, and again, I've literally had tens of thousands of people on my Zoom meetings. I've never had it happen once. Actually, the article I read about it said a large portion of it, they think that it was with the schools were having people log on to their system that weren't students, and they think it was the students sending out the links to friends with other schools, and they were signing on, as a joke. I don't think that was all of it, but I think that was a big portion of it.
Yeah, agreed. You have your live on the air sign behind you. Love that. I think that's a great addition, especially since interruptions can be so distracting.
I like that too. I got that off of Amazon. If you just go on Amazon and type in live on air, there was like 3 different versions. I like this particular one, and I think it was like $60, something like that. But again, you can only go buy your live on air after you've done 3 live on airs. Then you can go buy it.
That's a good point.
That's right. Good call to action there. We seem to be out of questions here, so if anything does come up, we've got your contact information. Can you put that up on the screen for everybody? And obviously, as you said, the recording will be available on your web portal as well as ours for FAMP. And I really want to thank you again for jumping in and helping us out, and a lot of great information here.
Dude, anytime I can do anything for you guys, the answer is already yes before you even ask. And I really appreciate you. I appreciate you helping me what I do over here. And you guys are just an outstanding group of people. And I deal with a lot of different associations throughout the country. And I can tell you what, man, the Florida one is just an outstanding group. And I appreciate everybody's support of it. And I would encourage anybody that's not a member, man, step up to the plate. These guys are, for the price of what you do to this, it helps us get the representation. And truly, like I said in the beginning, if it wasn't for these guys, man, I don't even want to think where we'd be at today going through some of these things that we go through. And it's nice having you guys on our side. So, yeah. So take action. Actually go out and do this stuff. Do the follow-up. And if it feels weird, then you know you're doing it right. It's supposed to feel weird. It's supposed to feel uncomfortable. It gets better, though. I still get nervous every time. I got nervous before I got on this one. And it goes away after about 10 or 15 minutes, something like that. I get nervous every time I stand on stage, and I probably spoke to 100,000 people at this point in my career. I get in front of 4 people, I get nervous. It's just, I have a saying. I know you guys have heard it. I've got this saying: fear is peeing in your pants. Courage is doing what you need to do with wet pants on. Fear is peeing in your pants. Courage is doing what you need to do with wet pants on. And the purpose of that statement is everybody feels the fear. Everybody, even somebody looks totally confident, I guarantee they feel fear. And just the only difference between the top producers and the ones that's kind of struggling is the top producers, they feel that fear and they do it anyway. I make a joke: if fear is peeing in your pants and courage is doing what you need to do with wet pants on, that's why I always wear black pants. Obviously, that's tongue in cheek, but I'm literally afraid I feel fear every single time. And I've just learned that that's just part of the process. And it gets easier. It does. It gets a lot easier. But every time I still feel a little bit. I read Frank Sinatra's autobiography, saying that he said every time before he got, man, you talk about the king of cool. For those old enough to know who Frank Sinatra was, man, that dude was the king of cool. And he said that every time he got on stage, that he literally would be ill to his stomach. And actually, maybe this is too much information, but had a bucket right behind the curtain where sometimes he would get sick right before he went on stage every single time. And yet he went up there and did it anyway. So you guys do the same thing. Let me tell you, there's a lot of people that's hurting right now. And as mortgage professionals, we can help a lot of you. Can't help everybody, but we can help a lot of these people. Go help them. They need your help right now. Go help them. Reach out to them. Help them out. And agents right now, I'm telling you, it's never been a better time because they're still, as we're doing this, a little bit in the lockdown phase, and they're looking for somebody to talk to. And the seeds that you plant today is going to be your closings in June and July. Get out and make this stuff happen. And I'd love to hear your feedback. And thanks again. I appreciate you guys letting me be here.
Great, thank you. We've had a lot of thank yous from our listeners today, Carl. Thank you very, very much.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot, guys.
Have a good afternoon.
All right, good afternoon, everyone.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.